Good day, I'm Evangeline Webster.
And I'm Payson Winward, reporting from the Central Middle School 8th grade broadcasting team.
Today we have an exclusive report on Bartlesville Public Schools' recent decision to no longer allow the use of student cell phones on campus, taking effect when students return from fall break on October 21st.
Recently, our 8th grade broadcasting team held a forum including administrators, students, parents, and teachers.
We held this forum to talk about the potentially harmful effects of social media on our student body members and students across America. Superintendent McCauley, why is Bartlesville Public Schools enacting a student cell phone ban once we return from fall break?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Glad to talk about this important subject. So really the only change is happening at Central Middle School, where the practice has been where you've had the access to your phone, like at the cafeteria, lunchtime, outside of the school day. And so after fall break, Central's going to make that change where kids don't have access to the phone at all during the day. Madison Middle School made that change. It's probably about 3 years ago now. We're also making a deep dive we're doing a book study across the district of school board meetings on the anxious generation, as well as in the community. Just trying to get the information out there about the impact of cell phones, social media, as well as lack of childhood independence on our kids.
Superintendent McCauley, what are the details of the new policy and how do you plan to enact them?
Yeah, sure. Once again, this is really just impacting Central Middle School change during the current school year. We're doing some more research on, really at the high school is a little different, situation, but we're working through that as well. So at Central Middle School, all the kids will not have access to their phones during the day. Period. Well, right now you do have access to your phone, like in the cafeteria, where you won't have that once you get back from fall break.
Superintendent McCauley, many school districts in Oklahoma and across the nation are moving in the same direction as Bartlesville. Do you think this is actually possible for school districts to reverse or lessen the negative effects cell phones and social media has on students by enacting this new policy?
I do. It's happened actually across the country. And just in the state of Oklahoma, there was an interim study at the legislature last week regarding making a change where kids don't have access to cell phones during the school day. And matter of fact, they reference the same book that we're doing a book study on, the anxious generation. And the recommendations coming out of that include kids not having a smartphone before you're in high school, not having access to social media before you're 16 years old, not having access to a cell phone during the school day. And then last is just that term, that childhood independence piece. You know, the world is there's so much information that is available to us at our fingertips that a lot of times we're not doing things that we're learning to do, having experiences where our parents are doing things for our kids that really our kids can do on their own. And once again, this whole matter is not just it's not just a student issue. It's really across the world. It's dealing with adults as well. I mean, it's impacting all of us. To make a quote from the book, those MIT professor talked about, we are forever absent in terms of, I think we've really lost the ability, people are losing the ability to be present.
Dr. Hancock, how have you witnessed the decline of mental health in your students across the years as cell phone usage at school has increased?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I was lucky enough growing up that I didn't have a cell phone until I was in college. And, even to then it was a flip phone. But, over the last few years, seeing the popularity of all of the different social media platforms, they become addictive. They have addictive qualities that are really no different than some of the really bad things that students have access to as well. And so they become dependent on those as well. And so it's hard to not be distracted by those things, especially when, we're asking students to be present every day, stay connected with each other and their teachers. But when you have this addictive thing in your pocket, it's very, very hard not to let that consume you. And just here at Central, and why we're making the step is because students aren't connected to each other. They have a tool where they can do the things that is not one of the qualities that we ask of our students: to be present, to be good characters, to be a great citizen of our school. And we're giving them outlets to do things that are not necessarily in line with that. And that starts to take away from you, distract you from what you should be doing. It's an outlet for you to be pulled in.
How has their behavior at school been affected with the increased presence of cell phones?
Well, okay, so this is a short form, right? So honestly, you can whatever you can think of that could happen with a cell phone happens, from everything from cyberbullying to, honestly, parents calling you during the day. It's a major distraction. My phone has buzzed 20 times and my watch just went off, probably a half dozen times just since we've started here. And I want to look at it. I get it. I want to see it. So it's not just students. We've asked our teachers to be models in this. And in order to do that, you'd be surprised what will happen. Behavior will decrease. Bad behavior in the classroom will decrease because students are more engaged in work, more engaged with each other. A lot of the things that we see that come up that happen, outside of the school hours don't happen here. They may still happen outside of the school hours, but we control what we can control. But to be able to take those instances of behavior of ill behavior that does happen with the cell phone away during our time makes us more present. We always tell everybody to be here now. It's hard to do when you're so distracted.
What is your greatest concern with students having cell phones on campus?
Safety. And not only that, but losing a piece of yourself. It's hard. I'm a digital migrant. All the kids are digital natives. Kids have never known what it's like to not have a cell phone or have the world in the palm of their hand, anything that they want to do. And so my greatest fear is that we lose a piece of our autonomy and our problem solving skills and our abilities to be a whole person because we're so addicted to what we can have in front of us right here, right now. You lose patience, you lose all kinds of these characteristics of being a quality human. And then not to mention the issues that come along with that, mental health issues, vision issues. There's studies out there that show that brain science that shows that memory loss is happening a lot with people in my age category because they're so used to seeing now that when somebody talks, you can't process it the same way that you can see information on a screen. So it's interesting.
Superintendent McCauley, we understand that you have been reading and taking other BPS staff through a book entitled The Anxious Generation. What was it you learned there that contributes to the move toward the new student cell phone use policy?
Thank you. So I was recommended this book early summer by Jane Sears, a former colleague. And when I read it, it really wasn't anything surprising, but it just gave some data behind what we're all seeing, what we're all living with in terms of seeing how things have changed. Because cell phones have changed in terms of what they can do, and social media has changed along with it. And I think if you've grown up, if you're going through, you're middle school age and you're growing up with social media, and whether you're a boy or a girl, it has a significant impact on you. When I look at the research behind it, in our young girls, the rate of self-harm from 2010 to 2020 has tripled. Our overall our college age, there was a study last year in 2023 that over 2/3 of college students felt anxious half the time. And so there's significant data and research behind on what the impact that this change is having on all of us. And it's the reality. And also, we have to learn how to live with it as well. But it helped with me that we can do better. It's not something the school's going to fix by themselves, or parents are going to fix by themselves, or kids are going to fix on them by themselves too. It's just going to take all of us. Kind of the first step is to bring awareness to the fact. And then secondly is to come up with some action steps. It's a little easier to wrap your brain around at a school in terms of like an elementary and middle school, because you're pretty much here all day. High school is a little different. Like Emma Perry was just talking to me about her day. She does an internship and she has a concurrent class. She comes and goes. And so it's a little different dynamic in terms of managing that, but we're still living, having to live with that. Live with that phone and obviously living with the social media that comes along with it and the impact on us. I know when I visit with my student advisory council, I've got 4 juniors and 4 seniors I visited with. We had some brief discussion about this, and kids were pretty adamant about it. It was clear that they were really tied to their phone. And some of it's legitimate stuff. My mom's calling me. I need this for band practice. I need this for some things to update something else. But a lot of it's just convenient. We're used to it. We could probably find ways to do other things. We've just gotten used to do things a certain way.
Emma, we see that you're dressed in scrubs. Can you tell us a little bit about what program it is you're a part of, and what are some of the negative effects you've seen students' cell phone use on campus cause?
Okay, so I'm a part of the internship program at my high school. last year I was at the Scandinavian Research Center. This year I'm at Dr. Manley's Animal Hospital, and I get to go there from 8:30 to 10, and I get to like be hands-on with clients and patients and watch surgeries, and it's really great before I go to college to make sure that this is what I want to do. And then I go to the high school for physics and choir, and honestly, it's like we're not allowed to have our phones in physics anyways, but we don't need them because we're constantly learning in that class, and you have to be present or else you're gonna miss something and you're gonna be lost. And I've just watched like in my other classes, like kids just get completely like lost in their phones and they just miss the whole lesson, and it's like they're gonna be lost for the rest of the unit or the rest of the year if they don't like catch back up. And it's just you just kind of lose sight of what's really important when you're just addicted to being on your phone.
What are some negative effects you have seen social media have on you and your peers?
Okay, so social media is definitely like it's definitely a toxic thing. It can be great, but it can definitely also be toxic. And it's like you can always say, well, it's not like that for me. But then I'll see myself talking to my mom like, oh my gosh, she posted a picture with all of my friends and not with me. And then I'm like, okay, I need to go. Like, I need to go for a walk or something because this is unnecessary. Like, it's just like
it happens to adults too.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, her dress was like so pretty for homecoming this year, and I'm like, okay, well, mine was too. Like, it's okay. Like, I would say that's the main thing, especially for girls, probably.
Yeah.
So, middle schoolers, what is your guys' daily use of screen time on average? Emma?
I would say I do an okay job of trying not to like be too much on my phone, but it's definitely over like 2 hours.
Ashitha?
Mainly it's to like talk with my friends, you know, because I have their numbers. But other than that, I don't really use my phone that much. That because I don't really have the need to either.
High schoolers, what about you guys?
Like summertime or during the year? Like summertime, it's
Yeah.
more.
Summertime,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
During the school year, more busy, I'd say. So
Yeah. The summertime it gets pretty bad. I have to make an effort to like go do something else.
Middle schoolers, how has social media improved your life?
I don't have too much social media, but I get to stay updated with my friends and kind of know what they're doing, which is kind of cool.
For me, again, I don't really have much social media either. So, I mean, because like, I really don't need it because I can just ask my parents what's going on and all. So, not really anything.
What about you, high schoolers?
there's a lot of people that I don't see in my school day very much, that we don't have classes together or whatever it is, and so it's really easy on something like Instagram to send someone a quick video and like spark a conversation that way, or not spark a conversation, it's just send videos.
Yeah.
It's just nice. It's nice to keep in touch with people that way. It's really easy.
Yeah, like friends or family that don't live near you, just like stay updated in their lives.
Students, how much of your daily phone screen time is spent on social media versus schoolwork?
I'm not on it that much, but probably like an hour maybe. And then my schoolwork, it's not much. Probably like an hour.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'll probably spend like around 30 minutes on my phone and then like maybe an hour or two on my schoolwork.
Oh,
Yeah, my bad.
oh no. Honestly, the amount of time I'm actually on my phone for schoolwork is like maybe like 15 minutes in the school day, because it's always like a quick take a picture of something or do something really quick. It's never like do the assignment on your phone.
Right, because we have our Chromebooks too that have everything we need on them for this part.
That could be a whole other forum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Mrs. Webster, do you support Bartlesville Public Schools' move to adopt the new student cell phone policy, and why?
I do. And I'm actually really thankful for it because we have enforced that policy in our own home already. And so our daughter Evangeline was one of the only kids her age, even in sixth grade, that didn't have a phone. And I know that was difficult for her because everybody wants to fit in and be cool, and I understand that. But we had a feeling that some of this research was going to come out. And we obviously, I'm older and I have lived a life without digital media. And for us, I think a lot of it is the idea of being present. When Evangeline's home and it's after school, we want her to be home, and we like her, we like you, and so we don't always want you to be texting and being engaged constantly with other people. It's difficult for adults. I mean, I do communication for a living, so my job is I may have to send out seriously like 75 texts a day, maybe 60 emails. I'm always coordinating, so I need that mental break from always feeling like I'm on, if that makes sense. And I know students need that too. Do you guys feel like that when my phone is there, I feel like I may need to tend to something or be at work? And it's the same way. I mean, socially, you feel like your friends might need something, or you need to ask about homework or whatever. And so you stay a little too connected. And I also agree with it because learning how to have relationships with people and conversations and being part of their life is why we're human. And it's the best part of being human. And if we have this thing in our pocket that's easy to go to when it gets awkward, and raise your hand if middle school is awkward for everyone, right? Okay, right? So, right, it's easy for adults too. Used to, a good example, used to when you got in the elevator, I'm an extrovert by nature, right? But I would talk to people in the elevator and you just strike up a conversation. Well, when's the last time you were in the elevator where everyone wasn't looking down at the phone? Because it's easier, right? Than engaging in a conversation. But you miss out on a chance to know somebody or maybe say something encouraging or perk up a little bit for your day. So just simple things like that. We want you to know what it's like just to be here.
What is your greatest concern as a mother to a teenager living in the cell phone generation?
Definitely social media. You probably never get that. No, we're kidding. It's just very easy for us. We live in our culture in an era of comparison, and it's hard for adults. It's hard for me. I get annoyed when I'm on Facebook. I enjoy it for staying up with friends and family. But when everybody's on their fourth vacation to Italy, I'm like, hey, listen, some of us are here working. I mean, I'm just kidding. But everybody struggles with comparison. It doesn't matter how old you are. That's a human phenomenon. But when you're younger, and especially I think for females, we compare ourselves with one another. It's unfortunate. And so I'm still getting over middle school. So adding that in the fear and the comparison and the pressures that can come from that, that's probably what would scare me the most.
And if I could add on that too, you know, when I read that book this summer, it really hurt me when I read talking about with girls, and because most of the research was girls used Instagram was the most used, not all, but most of them. And so when you think about what's posted on that with pictures, those pictures aren't real.
That's right.
And so, I mean, pictures are doctored. And so then when you're growing up and you think this is what everybody in the world looks like, well, that's not true. And so that can have a profound impact especially on all of us, but especially when you're 12 or 13 years old. And so that's really what struck me. We need to do better.
Yeah.
Ms. Stinson, how long have you been teaching, and how long have you seen student behaviors change at school during the increased use of cell phones as time has gone on?
This is my 15th year teaching. It's my 4th year here at Central. I was teaching pre-K before that, so we did not have a cell phone issue. Thankfully, they might now, but years ago they didn't. I think I teach 6th grade. All my classes are 6th grade. And they come in with the expectations of not having a cell phone because in elementary they're not allowed. So I don't face as much as the older teacher, the 7th and 8th grade teachers do. But I do see it during lunch duty, the time that we're supposed to all be connected. I know at my house, at the table, phones are 100% off limits. They don't come to the table because if they're there and they ding off, we're going to pick them up, myself included. But I notice at lunchtime, the time that we're talking about taking them away, kids are not connected. Everyone has their heads down and they want to talk in class, which we're learning there. And hallways, it's a quick transition. And lunchtime is the time they should be connecting with one another, not connecting through screens.
Yeah.
Because that's not real life.
As one who is in the classroom with students, do you support the new student cell phone policy? And do you think it'll make a difference in students' lives? Or do you think it'll make the situation worse?
I definitely support the direction we're moving. Yes. I think that it's going to make a difference in their lives now and long term. We definitely need to have more critical thinking skills inside and outside of the classroom and less instant gratification in life. It will help connections for sure. And that's something that we have moved past. There's no eye contact. We need to get back to that where we feel connected to people because we're made to have connections.
Students, what sort of reactions have you heard from your peers as news of this policy change has begun to circulate? We can start with you.
I think a lot of students definitely aren't happy about it, but I think it's probably for the best. There's sometimes at lunch I'm just in the habit of taking my phone and I want to show people pictures and I want to show them stuff on my phone. And it'll be hard, but I think it will be better.
How about you, Lashita?
Yeah, same thing following her. I've heard a lot of kids, they are not happy about it. They are not. But again, it'll take some time getting used to it. And again, I remember at an assembly, Dr. Hancock, he said that it's only for 30 extra minutes. We're already not allowed to have our phones out in class. So for 30 extra minutes, it's not like it's that much.
What about you, Jackson?
Yeah, as soon as you start talking about phone bans, every student is instantly negative towards it. I know at the high school we have the phone ban.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's actually enforced is different. So people aren't really super mad about it at the high school because it's not really enforced at all. In some classes it is.
It depends on the class.
But yeah, the people are just very negative.
What about you, Emma?
Yeah, everyone, at first they're just no, this is my phone. You can't take it from me. But then it's you have to, and myself too, I was they're gonna take my phone. But you have to think these people aren't against you. They're not trying to ground you. They're they're trying to do what's best for all of us. So
Students, again, what do you think the best solution would be to address all the concerns of the adults without taking away the use of cell phones by students?
I don't know, maybe have more talks about it at C2s and assemblies like that, I guess.
I don't know. It's a big question.
I mean, the culture really has to change. You have to. I need to talk to my mom during the school day. My first thought, I text her on my phone in class. It's not, and it needs to, to get rid of the phone issue, that culture has to change pretty much. I don't know how to do that. But.
Yeah, because usually if you need to text your mom, it's Mom, can we please have pizza for dinner? But if you really needed to contact a parent, you could. Yeah.
Plus, teachers have phones in their classroom, and I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to let you use them.
Students, do you understand where your administrators and parents are coming from in their desire to lessen the use of cell phones on campus, and why?
I mean, I don't think they had phones when they were in middle school, so I think it's be good for us because especially during lunch, instead of just looking at your phone, and I look around the cafeteria, see so many kids who aren't actually having a conversation, they're just texting their phones. And I think it maybe even be able to make a new friend, you see someone not on their phone, you go over and talk to them.
What about you, Lashita?
I mean, I think it's for the best because, again, it's a chance to talk to people. And, you don't have to see people just, staring down at their phone all the time. So.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I really understand where they're coming from with it. I know I personally, anytime there's silence in the room, I get out my phone and try and scroll on Instagram or something.
Everybody does that. I find I mean, it's adults too. It's just easy. It's always there.
Not just kids.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue is so bad. I off Instagram because it's taking up too much of my time.
Yeah.
So I understand where they're coming
Yeah, I would agree. It's you always have something, especially in high school, you always have something more valuable you can be working on, like homework. So much homework. But instead of just scrolling on your phone when you have free time in class, you can work on that homework if your teacher is sitting right there willing to work with you. So.
Superintendent McCauley, what sort of difficulties do you imagine or predict you might face as you attempt to enact this policy?
I feel confident that, because really at our elementary schools, we're really not making any changes there. I mean, it's just a different age level. At the middle school level, the middle school across town has been successful doing the same thing. So if we can do this at Madison, I know that we can do this at Central Middle School, especially now that there's all this research out that says this is really the right thing to do. And like we're talking about 30 minutes at lunch, guys. I mean, we can do this. I think the high school level it's more difficult, more challenging because the kids are so mobile. However, but I do think that we do need to do all that we can to help with that at that age as well. Like Jonathan was talking about, he kind of figured out himself to take Instagram off his phone for a while, which I understand that as well. I applaud him for that. But people, that's natural for people to try to think about what's the best way to do it. But when all your friends are doing something, and it's just a habit that we've all gotten into, myself included, when there's a moment to check that. So I think probably most, from what I heard feedback wise, because I've been talking to a lot of people about this the last few months, a lot. And really the only negative reaction I heard is from high school kids, which is understandable. I mean, that's not surprising. I mean, that's because they're used to it. They've grown up with it. I get that too. And that's why I think we need to just all work together to do what's best, and include our high school kids' voice in that too, because we're just trying to help. And we're trying to make things better for them. And also to give our parents some guidelines, because, my son is 27. When he was your age, there was no guidelines out there. I mean, I was just thinking, oh, this is new technology. This can make your life easier. This can make it faster. We can use this. And, here's the social media, which when I started social media, it's great. I could look and see what, connect with people I went to high school with, I hadn't seen in 30 years or whatever, those kind of things. Or what a family's doing, like Emma was talking about across the country, and kind of keep up with them, or they can keep up with us. But now it's significantly different. So, and that impact that has been on all of us too. So anyway, we just want to help make things better, and hopefully bring some awareness to it, and so that we can make improvements for them. And not just now, because I see it. I mean, I see it now in young adults, and just that ability to, I think people don't read as much as they used to, because they need to see a story for 10 seconds. And so I think about, man, if I would have grown up without having the time, because we all get bored when you're growing up, but when I invested, I'd take time to read. And if I was so distracted, because every time I have a minute, I should check my phone to see and then you go down this rabbit hole, which we've all done it. I do it too, to kind of go back and that the things your brain's not fully developing it's really making us dumber. That's what research is telling us.
Smartphones are making us dumber.
Yeah.
Look, these are books. See these back there? It's like actual paper. You can open them.
Is there any scenario where you could see student cell phone use being permitted again at some point in the future? And if so, how?
Yeah, we'll just work through it. Things change. I mean, we talked about some things that we now do with Chromebooks that we're really 2 years ago thinking we're having to evaluate that. Does it really make sense for elementary age kids to be doing assignments to send those home for kindergarten? Well, it probably doesn't make sense, but that was what we thought was best at the time. So, I can see some possibilities for the future that could change, but I really think more so in my lifetime, what I've seen differences in when I'm growing up, and I'm old, but thinking about my parents' age, they all smoked.
I was just thinking about that.
And so,
it was cool.
and that kind of changed. People still vape and still do some things too, but overall, it's not like it was my parents' age. When I was growing up, you didn't have to wear a seatbelt. Yeah. That was a huge change. And so now it's just standard. You get a ticket without wearing a seatbelt too. Yeah. I really personally think this social media and that impact on all of us is going to be something else that it's a bigger issue, not just here. I mean, it's a governmental, when you have access to, to get signed up for those things too. So I think it's going to be, if anything else, going to continue to go that direction.
Thanks for joining us for this important discussion. I'm Evangeline Webster.
And I'm Payson Winward.
Thanks for stopping by. Yay!